WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. The Balvenie Tun 1509 Batch 5, rare and exotic. Whiskey base number 114248, 8,000 bottles of this worldwide. And this just recently reached Germany for some reason. 300 euros, so about $350, $380. There's always this nice little thing with this as well. There's a table here of all the different barrels that are in there, and then you also have a flavor profile. I would just call it an infographic, where you can also see all those different barrels. What they do is they actually divide the barrels up into the different areas. There's 24 barrels in total. Wait a second, let me pour something. Great pour, or great plup. So this is just a standard bottle. If you really don't look closely, you just think, oh, okay, it's Balvenie. Oh, Tun or Tun 1509. That is a big wooden container where they just marry these 24 different barrels. So there's 10 ex-bourbon barrels. There's 3 refill American oak barrels. There's 8 sherry butts and 8 sherry hogshead in here. I've been told they have an average age of about 18 years. Ooh, nice. And then they're actually married in that Tun 1509 for a total of 4 months before it's bottled. So the interesting thing is each and every barrel has been tested here by David Stewart. He is the master distiller and master blender is his word for that, I guess, for the barrels. And you always have 4 areas. You have spice, you have oak, you have delicate, and you have sweet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to actually grade this as well according to those 4 points here on the table. And the label here always shows what they said. He says for batch number 5, for number 1 spice, here you have 100%, so it's about 60%. For the oak, it's about almost 65%. For the delicate, it's just tad over 50%. And for the sweet, it's way over here, almost 75-80%. So you can actually see how that's there. I will taste it. I will try it. I'll put a little bit of water in it, and I will not compare it today. I've done a video about Balvenie Tun 1509 batch 1, 2, 3, 4, all together compared. My samples were there. I'm in the process of moving. They're packed and they're already at the new location, which I'll move to in a couple months from now. And it's a 4-hour drive away, and I'm not going to go get them. And so this bottle has been a bottle share anyway, so this bottle, as well as most of the content, will be going to other participants of the bottle share, but I really wanted to have this, and oh well, that's the way it is. Slancha. So, on the nose. Very nice, oaky, sherry, spicy moment. We're at 52.6%. Didn't get that at all. It's not a very boom in your face alcohol type of moment. It's old. It's old, dusty leather, an old dusty chair, an old oak piece of furniture, a desk. I'm in a lawyer's office. The lawyer's 73 years old, should have retired 10 years ago. And he's still, his furniture and his whole setup of the office is still the same since 1974. That's what I'm getting here. A lot of that deep, dark sherry notes as well. So, on the nose, I would give it a spice for a 3 to 4. I'm going to go for a 4. The oak, 4. The delicate, 3. And the sweet, up to a 5. You do notice here that they do have the different things. So he said the spice is less than the oak, and then the delicate, it's not very delicate, to be honest. And then the sweet really just powers on through. Let's nip. Oranges. Orange zest. Caramel orange. Clove. Just a tiny little bit. Nice. This is really a whiskey that you would like. They should spend your time with. You should enjoy. You should not rush, which I'm doing now. I'm so sorry. 8,000 bottles worldwide, and I got one of them. Yay! Very, very heavy. A very, very high price for it, I must admit. Mm-hmm. 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 The first thing I really noticed is the oiliness, the viscosity here. Second thing is the sweetness. It really is a sweet, and not just sherry sweet, but actually oak sweetness. It's definitely not the most delicate whiskey I've ever had, but it is very delicious. That oak spice is there, that oak sweetness is there. Oak, spice, delicate, and sweet are the four factors that Balvenie used to actually characterize their casks as well as their whiskey. I do remember doing the 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I remember 1 being fantastic, 2 being okay. I think 3 was very nice, and 4 was a little bit of a disappointment, to be honest, compared to the 3 before that. I do not know if this is also going to be one of those disappointments or not. I read online that this is actually younger in the taste than many of the other batches 1 to 4, and so I do like it very much, but I'm not going to go, wow. It's not one of those yummy, yummy whiskeys where I go, It's missing a little bit of that intensity, that flavor profile, that boldness that really just grabs your taste buds and shakes them and says, you're alive and remember to enjoy life. This is just kind of, there's a little bit of that oak bitterness at the end, a tannin moment that lingers on after the sweetness fades away after about 2 minutes or so. Adding a little bit of water is not doing this any justice at all. There's a lot more of that milky, acidy moment that comes out through the addition of water. The sherry kicks in a little bit and pushes a little bit of the vanilla woody oakiness towards the front as well. But it loses a little bit of its depth, it loses a little bit of its complexity, it loses a little bit of its deliciousness. Good word. So, Solange. My second taste of this is really, I'm getting more of the bitterness instead of the sweetness, which I really wanted the first time. The sweetness is still there, but it's now being supplemented by an oakiness that has the tendency to actually move towards the tartness instead of the sweetness that I was expecting and I would love to have more of. It does say here that the sweetness is the overriding factor, and then the oakness and the spice and the delicate is the least amount here. You do have here all your bourbon casks, and they were a lot of 1s and 2s for the spices. For the oaks, there were a lot of 3s and 2s. For the delicate, they were very much just 4s. And then for the sweetness, there are 4s and 5s. Makes sense. So for the sherry hogsheads, we had a lot of spices, 4s and 5s. Oaks, 4s and 5s. Delicate, 1s and 2s. And for the sweetness, basically 4s and 3s. So the refill American oak was really interesting because it had the spices with 1s and 2s, basically. The oaks with 2s and 3s. but they were delicate 4s and 5s. And then they also had that sweetness, 4s and 5s. And last but not least, the sherry butts. A lot of 4s in the spice, a lot of 3s and 4s in the oak. In the delicateness, they were all basically just all 2s and a couple 1s. And the sweetness were basically all 4s and some 3s. Yeah. So if they do it that way, why not talk about it that way? I'm going to do one last thing. I'm going to bring this down to about 43% and see what I have there. At the moment, this is a B- whiskey. It's not even A-. It's not even a B++. It's a B- whiskey at 300 euros. Therefore, the value for money is much, much lower, around a D+, if I may be honest at the moment. I might get it up to B+ here if I dilute it a little bit and get tickle those wonderful notes here out of this. Sweetness, sherry, oak, nothing really wow spectacular at the moment. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm missing all the berries. I'm missing a little bit of the vanilla. I do get a sweetness there. I'm getting oak tardiness. I'm getting the sweetness more of a maple sugar type of sweetness than a vanilla sweetness. It does actually cause my mouth to create more saliva, which is nice. Sometimes some things are so astringent that you can barely taste anything afterwards. It's a good whiskey. It's a very good whiskey. Is it a great whiskey? In my book at the moment, no. I've had over I would say I've done over 1,100 different videos in German. Now I'm at almost 280, 290, almost 300 videos here in English. I guess I'm getting to know my whiskeys, even my scotches, and the Balvenie Tun 1509 is for me a solid whiskey that is very overpriced, that has a certain following, and yet, in my own opinion, it's not worth the money that you have to pay. Would I be willing to pay 100 euros for this? Would I be able to buy something else for 100 euros for this? I'd rather much have. And this is 3 times that price. Ouch. So this is a money-making machine, yeah? At €250,000 euros just in those 8,000 bottles, if they're sold for 300 euros on average. That's amazing, yeah? So one single little batch here, €250,000 euros, $250,000, £250,000. That's a lot of money going through there just for some bottles like that. All right, so my question of the day is, from Balvenie, which bottling is your favorite? Is it a Tun? Is it a Caribbean cask? Is it a triple wood? Is it a double wood? What is your favorite whiskey from Balvenie? And or what is your best value for money from Balvenie? Is it still the 12-year-old double wood? Is it the 16-year-old triple wood? Or is it something totally different, a single cask, a 15-year-old, or whatever? There's a lot of things out there from Balvenie. A lot of them are very, very decent, very, very good whiskeys. I'm a little bit, tiny bit cautious of the value for money prospect. Yeah, that's the way things are sometimes here in the whiskey world, especially in Scotland. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, please subscribe, please tell others about this crazy American over here in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys, things you might never ever see. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, my videos are published. I thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, and tell others. Bye-bye.